Hi guys, this is your girl Wakeji Kamore and welcome to Reflections by Wakeji Kamore. Alright, so we are in 2 Kings chapter 9, and again, if you haven't read, please pause this recording and read the first read from verse 1 all the way to verse 13. So because we're going to be breaking this chapter in two parts, please read from verse 1 to verse 13 of 2 Kings chapter 9. If you're here for the very first time, please subscribe. Please share this video with someone else and hit the notification bell so that you never miss any recording that I put up. All right, I do hope that you guys have paused, read, and now you're ready for the story that is happening in this first part of chapter 9. So in this part, this is where Jehu is anointed to be king of Israel. By this time, the current king of Israel is called, just hold on guys, let me look for the name. Oh my God, what is the name of this guy? I think it's, my goodness, Mini Mesahao. The current king of Israel. Then there's of course the current king of Judah. Remember that these two kingdoms are happening at the same time. So there's a king of Judah, king of Israel. And then at this specific time, Jehu is appointed as, or rather anointed as king. So let me just tell you what happened. So Elisha, the prophet, summoned a member of the group of the prophets. Remember that there was a group of prophets that, used to kind of live together and minister together. I remember them being at the river Jordan, trying to cut down trees so they can build a bigger place for them to even stay. So yes, there was a group of prophets. And so he summoned one of them and told them to get ready and to take a flask of oil to go and anoint Jehu, son of Jehoshaphat, son of Nimshi, and to call him in a private room away from his friends and pour olive oil on his head and to tell him that he had been anointed to become king over Israel. So this young prophet does that. He goes to a place called Ramoth Gilead where he finds Jehu sitting with his army officers, because Jehu was the commander of the army at that time, the army of Israel. So he called him and he told him, I have a message for you. So of course they go to a private room where he anoints him to be king, and he says, the God of Israel says, I anoint you to be king over the Lord's people Israel. You are to destroy the family of Ahab, your master. In this way, I will avenge the murders of my prophets and all the Lord's servants who were killed by Jezebel. The entire family of Ahab must be wiped out. I will destroy every one of his male descendants, slaves and free alike, anywhere in Israel. I will destroy the family of Ahab as I destroyed the families of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, and of Bash, son of Ahijah. Dogs will eat Ahab's wife Jezebel at the plot of land in Jezebel, and no one will bury her. Then the young prophet opened the door and ran away. So let me first tell you, when Elisha sent this young prophet, told him, go and pour oil on this guy, anoint him, and then run for your life. I don't know why he was told to run for his life, but I imagine because Jehu was such a bloodthirst human being. Like, honestly, he was. First is the commander of army, so you're going to anoint him, and now you're going to give him like this role to go and destroy the whole family of Ahab. So this prophet was like, ukimaliza kumwanoint hivi, run for your life, because we don't even know what kind of powers will come over this guy. So anyway, he goes and anoints the guy. He tells him what the Lord had said about him destroying Ahab's family. So pause. Who is Ahab? Why is he being destroyed? So Ahab was the worst king that Israel ever saw. He was married to a chick called Jezebel, and Jezebel was even worse. Jezebel had killed all the prophets of the Almighty God, not the prophets of Baal or the prophets of this other to idol gods, but the prophets of God of Israel. He had actually killed all the prophets. At some point, only Elijah was remaining as a prophet who had not been killed by Jezebel. She was horrible. I remember that at some point before Ahab stops becoming king, or before Ahab dies, she went and, she went and planned the death of a guy called, what was the name of that guy? Naboth, where he wanted to pick her land and, make it their own. As in, she was just a horrible queen. And I mean, the king Ahab was as horrible as well. So God had told them that he was going to murder all the entire family of Ahab, all his sons, all his male descendants, all his slaves, everybody who is free and everybody who is associated or rather is his descendant and lives in Israel. And now is the time to do this, because I remember God had wanted to do it before Ahab died, but before Ahab died, he was kind of almost remorseful. He was now wearing balap. He was like, oh, now Mungu nisamehe. So God was like, okay, I don't want these things to happen when Ahab is still alive. I will wait for him to die, then I will do the things that I wanted to do. So now is the time. God has re-anointed Jehu. And I'll tell you why I'm saying re-anointed. Because Jehu had actually been anointed again. So he went on to become king, and he went on to become the king of Israel. And I'm going to just leave that story at that before I continue. And let me tell you what I mean by re-anointing of Jehu. So you guys remember when Elijah in the book of First Kings, in the book of First Kings chapter 18, he was like distressed. He was like having a burnout. He was feeling so bad. He was like, oh God, how are you going to let this Jezebel, kill all the prophets, kill all your prophets? How are you going to let each and everything that is happening in Israel right now continue? So that time when Elijah was in hiding, because he was hiding from Jezebel, because Jezebel had killed everybody apart from Elijah was the only one remaining. So he was distressed, he was discouraged, he was afraid, and he went and hid, and he was crying out to God, and God told him, God was having conversations with him, and one of the two people he told to go and anoint was Jehu. He said, go and anoint Jehu to become the king of Israel, and go and anoint Elisha to be like a helper, like your helper prophet. And that's exactly what he did. So now in 2 Kings chapter 9, it's not the first time we're seeing Jehu being anointed. This is the second time. He had been anointed by Elijah before, but did not immediately become king. I like the fact that God anoints, kings and gives them a chance to become, he appoints you, and then he gives you a purpose. He gives you what the calling is, what your, purpose is, and then he gives you time to actually work towards getting to that purpose. Because, he gives you time to prepare, or to prepare you, or he prepares you. Because I'm like, why didn't he just become king immediately he was anointed? Same case with Daniel. He didn't become king immediately he was anointed. Same case with Saul, by the way. Even when Saul was being anointed by Solomon, he was anointed privately, and then he was announced to be, or rather he was appointed to be the king of the Israelites later in public. So God gives you a space there. I don't know, that space is for preparation, that space is for asking questions, that space is for asking clarity. That there's just a space there, which I really truly do appreciate. And I like the fact that God doesn't just wake up one day and anoint you publicly. I like the fact that even as Jehu is being anointed in this space, he's being anointed privately, not publicly. He gives you a chance to get prepared, to not just be anointed uko kwa limelight. God will probably not anoint you uko kwa limelight. He will probably prepare you in the dark season, prepare you until you get to the limelight, which is great. But the other thing that I learned from this part, this first part of chapter 9, is that God's timing is not like ours. In this hiding from Jezebel, Elijah cried out to the Lord, asking, how long is God going to let this wickedness continue to happen? How long will God continue to let Ahab and Jezebel, persist and do the things that they were doing? And they were doing such horrible things to the worshippers of the true God. It took a while for God's answers to start showing. But do you realize that God actually answered and put a plan in motion immediately Elijah prayed? Because Elijah was like, God, utalawia kina Ahab na kina Jezebel waendele for how long? And it didn't look like God answered. It didn't look like God did anything about that, because he just said, okay, go and anoint Jehu, go and anoint Elisha, and that was it. Elijah went just back to doing Elijah things. But at that specific time when Elijah prayed, God answered, and he put into motion his plan to destroy Ahab and Jehu. And that's the reason why Jehu was being appointed at that time. That was God putting his plan in motion. But it doesn't seem like he does anything until now we're in 2 Kings chapter 9, that now we're seeing Jehu, and now he's reappointed, and he's going to destroy every person known as Ahab's descendants, watu watauliwa wote one by one. You guys are going to see all this happen. But I think the thing that encourages me is to know that God actually puts his plan into motion when I pray. He puts the answers to my prayers immediately. He puts in motion the answers to my prayers immediately when I pray. It's not necessarily to mean that I will see the answers right there and there. There are those that you will see right there and there, but there are those that he's already answered, he's already put the plan in motion, but you not necessarily see it immediately until some time later. Unfortunately, Elijah doesn't even get to see this while he's on earth, because we know that he was taken to heaven by chariots of fire. Maybe he's just sitting there in heaven, just seeing this, his prayer being answered, like, oh my goodness, Ahab is going to be, like his descendants are going to be killed, Jezebel is going to be killed and all that. But it's just amazing to know that God answers my prayers when I pray. Sometimes I might not see it, but he could have already put in motion most of the prayers that you have already prayed. There are those that you will see immediately, the answers. But there are those that when you pray, he will put a plan in motion and it will start unfolding until the day you will actually see it manifested. I hope that encourages you. It really did encourage me when I got this revelation. It really did encourage me. Anyway, do have yourself a good week. And remember that God has answered. Immediately you prayed. There are some prayers that God already put a plan in motion for, and it will start to unfold and implement until the day you will actually start seeing the manifestations of the same. Thank you very much for listening. This is your girl Wakeji Kamore, and this has been Reflections by Wakeji Kamore. See you tomorrow.